Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to historically the second most bullish month of the year in regards to the cryptocurrency market generating returns. Of course, we are now in October and it's starting off very much in that fashion. Now, hopefully I haven't jinxed that, but what we're going to do is a number of things in this daily market update. Welcome back, everyone. By the way, if you're not already subscribed, do consider becoming one. We drop one of these videos every single day around 1 p.m. UK time. To help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening in the crypto space, but also the broader markets. We've got one of the largest channels out there on YouTube right now as it relates to crypto, certainly in the UK and further afield in regards to these daily market updates. So thanks a lot also for that, guys. We're going to do a number of things. We're going to look at technically where we're at. Bitcoin dominance, I think, is going to continue to roll to that 55% mark. We've certainly got that on the cards and technical merit for it based on that head and shoulders. And that's going to take it more broadly into phase 4, which is a downtrend, which is going to see a good environment for everything take place. So we are going to be looking at that, looking at the fact we're in October, what to expect. David Schwartz, Ripple's kind of chief technical officer, is stepping down. We'll look at what he has to say in regards to that. Where we should perhaps start, though, is with what was a fear for many, or is a fear for many, and that is the government shutdown. What a load of nonsense. We have this every single time. The individuals in the government don't want a government shutdown, really. They just use it as a sort of bartering tool, as it were, which is nonsensical because what's the reality? Is the reality the government just shuts down and never opens up again? No. This will just be theatre. It is every single time. It's a load of nonsense. I wish our government here in the UK would shut down. Maybe that's a crime to say. I don't know nowadays. The lines are very blurred. But we do have a government shutdown that's taken place at the moment. This is a live update. Funding ends after Trump's GOP Democrat failed to cut a deal. This is nonsense. The market's clearly loving this. Government shutdown equals green in the crypto markets. And the reality is the government opens back up again because they all need to pick their paychecks up, their handsome paychecks for the kind of bureaucracy that largely takes place there. And I'm not just picking on the US governments around the world. You know, our government here in the UK, in my opinion, isn't doing a great job. That is just my opinion. Some people may disagree, and I can only hope for some sort of change to it. But this was always a non-starter. I saw people really citing this as a bearish catalyst. The bears have now flipped bulls. We don't bother with short-term price action. We focus on the broader trends and we maintain our stance on either being bullish or bearish based on that, not day-to-day price action. Because this is crypto. It's volatile and I don't think you can, or I don't think you want to be a paper bag in the wind or a plastic bag in the wind, whatever the saying goes. So the government shutdown, nothing burger in my opinion. We are now, ladies and gentlemen, in October. And October is the second most bullish month for the cryptocurrency markets, historically looking at Bitcoin's monthly returns. Only second to Govember, which we've still got to come. And last Govember, for some of the altcoins that we were positioned in, we saw 800% moves within a very short period of time. And we've given targets for certain projects, and people don't see how they could be reached. Go and look at what happened in last November. For example, something like XRP that we're calling $19.27 on, and have been since it was 30 cents, 40 cents, 400+% up on that today, still, despite fatigue in the crypto space from the general masses. Do become a Patreon, guys. You'll unlock my full portfolio. Our stock portfolio is looking great. And we're not just in crypto. We're in miners. We're in, we're looking at some EV plays. We're looking at silver miners. We're looking at quantum computing stocks, strategy companies, all of this sort of stuff. But if you look at last November, if we see a repeat of that, that's where you see some pretty insane valuations that people don't think are possible. And people always forget just how fast crypto can move when it gets moving due to it being somewhat illiquid or less liquid and less money needed to actually move it. But we do have a good month ahead of us, I believe. And we are starting off in that fashion. Hopefully I'm not jinxing it, by the way. There is always the danger of that. Bitcoin is about 2.2% up today and is very clearly in an uptrend. And people calling for downside are betting against the trend. On balance of probabilities, they're going to be wrong. They have been wrong. Please don't try and trade, guys. Or if you want to pursue that, do it. Maybe with a paper account, then prove you can do that. It's very different doing it with a real account because then you're real money, and there's a whole load of, people often will be successful paper trading, and then when it comes to their own money, that perhaps not so much. But go down that process. Practice on paper. Do the real trading, no leverage. And then, if you want to introduce leverage, which I absolutely advise, I'm not a financial advisor, but I will advise that people don't use leverage to trade crypto. You will lose your money. And I'm one of the few influencers that don't promote leverage trading because I don't give you a referral link to sign up to that exchange, and every time you get liquidated, I profit. We don't think that's a good thing to be doing. So we are starting off rather healthily in October. Ultimately, we did just say this was likely just going to be a pullback, just like the ones that we've seen previously, a descending pullback that ultimately led to continuation. And that's looking to be the case. Bitcoin dominance, you guys will know, we believe is in phase 4. We look at the markets in sort of 4 phases on a kind of weekly time frame. They move in this kind of trend-like fashion, in this wave-like fashion. And ultimately, we believe that phase 4 is upon us. And taking us into phase 4, or kind of giving us a clue or a wink that phase 4 was about to come, was the top that occurred in a kind of head and shoulders fashion, or in a head and shoulders fashion that gives us that 55% target, which I think you're going to get to. This is just a sort of pullback in the downtrend. Could be in a flag-like fashion that ultimately sees you get down here. It's a matter of time. Bitcoin dominance, we do now think, importantly to all assets, because if Bitcoin dominance is in a downtrend, it's not just altcoins that are bullish, it's assets generally. You could derive a bullish narrative for the S&P 500 based on Bitcoin dominance falling, because the context of Bitcoin dominance falling has to be a bullish environment for assets broadly. And we've done a hell of a lot in regards to speaking to you guys about our position or our reasoning on being bullish on the S&P 500, for example. The IWM we're also pretty bullish on. I think the IWM small caps outperform large caps. Again, just like Bitcoin dominance rolling, that can only but occur in a generally bullish environment for assets broadly. So when it walks, talks, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Prepare for a good month. A good couple of months, I would say. I wonder if we're going to see, let's pick on H-bar, a similar thing to what we saw last November take place. And that's going to take us right into price discovery. This is really the first move of what we think is now a broader uptrend in phase 2. As we just showed you. Let's steal this, shall we? Let's go back to H-bar. Let's pop that on there. You just left phase 1 for many of these altcoins, and you've got this broad phase 2 ahead of you. That's what we've been saying for a while, and ultimately think it comes to fruition. And probably my favorite chart, which lots of people are highlighting now, is the total cryptocurrency market cap, which we think, excluding Bitcoin, which we think is going to about $6.3 trillion. I think very likely you get there. You're on the cusp of a major breakout. The stars are aligned, ladies and gents. And really, it's just a case of being positioned for what I believe is one of the greatest opportunities, or the greatest opportunity of our generation. Every generation gets an opportunity. Crypto is ours. Don't fade that, please. I'm not telling you to bet the house. I'm not telling you to, even buy crypto if you don't want to. Make your own minds up. But I truly believe that this is a generational opportunity to invest in a technology that is fundamentally going to change the world, akin to prior technologies like the internet, like the engine, so on and so forth. And we've been saying that for a long time. Let's talk about some news that came out just yesterday. And this is from David Schwartz, who's Ripple CTO. As happens in one's life, I've been taking stock of my last 40 years. It's been a wild ride. I've gone from consulting for the NSA to watching the early stages of Bitcoin. Interesting, because NSA actually released a paper, perhaps at the time David Schwartz was consulting for them, that actually outlined a digital mint and kind of crypto before we had Bitcoin. And the NSA is one of the suspected people behind Bitcoin. And often you find with technologies, like if you look at even Silicon Valley with their kind of involvement with the, well, I don't know what you want to call it, deep state, whatever you want to call it. It's very interesting. Also, the internet, was a military experiment to begin with. And you often find with technologies, they get kind of given to us. And I still think crypto maybe. Anyway, we're not there to focus on that or here to focus on that. We're here to focus on David Schwartz giving a heartfelt message. He goes on to say, then I met Arthur, Jed, and Chris and worked on coding the XRP ledger. Now I've spent more than 13 years at Ripple. I can't begin to explain the depth of my gratitude to this company, the people who work here, and the community that surrounds the XRP ledger. It's been one of the greatest honors and experiences of my life, second only to my amazing family. The time has come for me to step back from my day-to-day duties as Ripple's CTO at the end of this year. I'm really looking forward to spending more time with the kids and grandkids and going back to hobbies I set aside. But be warned, I'm not going away from the XRP community. You haven't seen the last of me now or ever. The last few months, I've been thinking or tinkering on the side, spinning up my own XRPL node and publishing its output data, researching other use cases for XRP besides what Ripple is focused on, and more. I truly enjoy this part, getting my hands dirty, talking to builders, coding for the pure love of it, and I'm really excited to get back to that. More to come on this very soon, I'm sure. But back to gratitude to Brad and Monica, leaders who have been here nearly as long as I have and are the very soul of Ripple itself. To Chris, who took a huge leap of faith and never wavered. To Arthur, who had the big ideas every time we needed them. To the Ripple X team, ledger developers, community members, builders, and everyone else. It's been an honor being in the trenches with you all. Thank you for everything you have done for the XRP ledger. I have total confidence in the next generation of leaders and builders, including Dennis Yarosh, Ripple's SVP and engineer, and far too many others to name in the XRP community who carried the torch. I'll still be in and out of Ripple's office as CTO Emeritus, and as my last task at Ripple, Chris asked me to join Ripple's board of directors to continue supporting the company's mission and long-term vision, and I accepted. Looking forward to seeing the rest of you at the XRP community events around the world. Joel Katz. Wow, very interesting. So he's going to be stepping back. He's been there for 13 years, a massive figure in the community at the end of this year. Maybe his task is complete. And we have been bringing out a lot of XRP content recently, certainly to combat some of the sort of fears around the Swift narrative, which we covered on Monday. So, to recap, government shutdown equals nothing burger, literally. These people need their paychecks. They will come back. They're not just going to shut the government down indefinitely. There'll be some sort of theatre and working out that takes place. We are now in the second most bullish month of the year for the cryptocurrency space. The stage is very much technically set. Whichever way you look at it, whether you look at the macro markets supporting the crypto markets as a higher beta for markets, and David Schwartz, Ripple's CEO, or CTO, sorry, is stepping down. Some people sad about this, including myself. However, he's promising to still be a part of the community, which is great news. And we're going to be taking part in a lot more of those events, those Ripple events. Hopefully seeing some of you guys there. That's it from me, troops. I'm going to love and leave you. Go Tober or Uptober. It's Govember is upon us. Hopefully I haven't jinxed it. Let's see how things play out.